From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Hannah Mordo, and this is your News 8 Daily for Monday, October 21st. Sunny and warmer weather ahead. Highs could reach the mid-70s today. We're off to a great start this morning in the 50s. It is dry. It is beautiful. So enjoy it while it lasts.
Today I have some very exciting news to share. Starting in May of next year, 2025, Ireland's flag carrier, Aer Lingus, will provide nonstop service to Dublin from Indianapolis.
Breaking news, the announcement this morning around 9 a.m. from Governor Holcomb. Direct flights nonstop from Indianapolis International Airport to Dublin, Ireland. Aer Lingus will offer the flights 4 days a week starting next May. The governor says it's part of his agenda to connect Indiana businesses to critical European markets. We'll have more on this developing story on wishtv.com. The judge in the Delphi Murders trial warns long days lie ahead for the jury as she gavels court back in session this morning. Richard Allen is accused of murdering Abby Williams and Libby German in Delphi more than 7 years ago. News 8's Brittany Noble is here with the story this morning and what we can expect in day 3 of court today.
The judge says that the next round of testimony could be quite lengthy. Richard Allen could be seen looking back at his mom and his wife while jurors heard gripping testimony from members of the search team. Steve Mullen, the former Delphi police chief in 2017, used drone video to show jurors the trails near the Monon High Bridge. Jake Johns testified that he called for help when he spotted Libby's tie-dye shirt and shoe floating along Deer Creek. After hearing that news, Pat Brown, a lifelong friend of the German, said he began walking toward the water when he made the horrifying discovery. Brown began crying in court, saying, "I thought they were mannequins at first, and I just said, we found them." Stick with News 8. We'll have updates on Richard Allen's trial, both on air and online at wishtv.com. That's also where you can find a summary of all the testimony given so far. I'm Brittany Noble for Wish TV, wishtv.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.
Breaking news. Police say one person is dead after a fiery crash on the northeast side. It happened on Binford Boulevard before 3:30 this morning near Delmar Road, just west of Fall Creek and north of 46th Street. The southbound lanes were blocked for the investigation. IMPD says they were first called to the scene for a vehicle fire. Officers think it was a crash now. Before that fire, our crews on scene saw a charred vehicle being pulled from the woods. Your statewide news network covers Fort Wayne, where we're working to learn of any arrests or charges in a weekend shooting that left one person dead and 10 more wounded. Police describe the location as a high school-age party at a home on the northeast side of the city. So far, police have not said how many people fired or what prompted the gunfire. They say one person died at the scene. The other injuries are not life-threatening. Fort Wayne police ask you to call if you have any information that can help. In Indianapolis, there are no arrests in 2 separate weekend shootings on the east side that left 2 men dead. IMPD says the first shooting happened Saturday on Drexel Avenue near East 20th Street. Officers say they found the man dead in the road. His name has not been released. The second shooting was also on Saturday, about a half an hour later, at a house on North Oxford Street. That's just north of Washington Street. Police say the man who was shot there later died at the hospital. If you have any information on either shooting, you can call police or Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS. For my teammate, investigators are trying to figure out if someone was drunk at the wheel when they hit a state trooper. It happened at the scene of a crash on 465 Saturday morning. teammates Kat Sandoval looks into the investigation and plea from the trooper's peers.
Sergeant Todd Harless was around this area on I-465 initially responding to an accident. He stepped out of his vehicle when a blue Honda Civic hit his vehicle, and that hit him, knocking him to the ground.
You can see the damage left behind. The front of the Honda smashed in, windshield cracked. The back of the trooper's vehicle shaped like a V. The accident happened near a construction site around 3 a.m.
First Sergeant Harless was investigating a crash in that construction zone, and there were no shoulders there, so he was in the left lane with his lights activated.
The officer, a 33-year veteran, was initially taken to a local hospital, but he is now at home recovering.
He's doing well. He's sore, but thankfully no serious injuries.
Police suspect the driver was drinking, claiming he smelled of alcohol. And the driver,
he had to be extricated by Indianapolis Fire Department when they arrived. He was somewhat entrapped in the vehicle, in the wreckage.
police are waiting for results of the blood test to determine if alcohol was involved.
Time and time again, we hear about these stories where somebody makes the selfish decision to get behind the wheel of a car after drinking alcohol, and it changes lives forever.
Indiana State Police says they're unable to give us the identity of the driver until that person is arrested. Right now, that driver is currently healing at a nearby hospital. Reporting in Indianapolis, I'm Kat Sandoval, IT Mate, Wish TV, wishtv.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.
In Colts watch, with little offense, the team pulls out a win over the Dolphins. The Colts' only touchdown of the game was in the third quarter on a run from Tyler Goodson. It was his first career NFL touchdown. Matt Gay added 3 field goals as the Colts held off the Dolphins at Lucas Oil Stadium 16-10. The Colts' victory comes despite some key players still out on the sidelines. News 8's Andrew Chernoff heard from the team and the head coach after the win.
It wasn't the prettiest performance, but the Colts still found a way to beat the Dolphins, despite only finding this place, the end zone, one time on Sunday. A win, though, still a win, and for the first time this season, the Colts are above 500.
At the end of the day, yeah, we got to play better. I got to coach better on offense and help the guys out, but finding ways to win in this league, that's what all matters, is you win the game. We talk about keys to victory, and I say it every Wednesday morning. Our number one key to victory is to win the football game, no matter how we do that.
We were expected to come into this game, winning. That was our whole, mindset. Staying healthy, that was also another thing on my mind. Just taking advantage of the opportunities and just being on the field, that's what we were thinking about all week. So it doesn't really boost my confidence much. It just makes me feel good to let me know that we got the W as a team.
It's a big emphasis for us. I think there's a huge stat about that, about most games come down to the final drive, 2-minute, all that stuff. So that's been a big importance for us this offseason.
We've lost some great players to injury. Some of our great players have missing time, but the guys have came in and made the opportunity. They've taken advantage of it, and I think that speaks to just the culture that Shane has set in our locker room and on our team. I think he just creates that relentless determination to get better, and I think that's what shows up every Sunday.
It's a lot of guys stepping up and playing that next man role, and it just shows to the preparation that everybody in this locker room puts in and the hard work they put into this game, because it's not an easy game to go out there and win for 2 consecutive weeks, and we plan to keep that going. No matter who's up, who's down, I know this team is going to do whatever they can just to play hard come Sundays.
One thing the Colts are hoping carries over into Houston is their fourth quarter defense. Indy has not allowed a point in the fourth quarter of their last 2 games, an example of how much the team is focused on finishing these matchups. Inside Lucas Oil Stadium, Andrew Chernoff, Wish TV, wishtv.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.
Lucas Oil Stadium has a new name permanently in the rafters. A halftime ceremony saw longtime tight end Dallas Clark backed by Peyton Manning and several other all-time greats as he joined the team's Ring of Honor. Clark was a critical piece of the Colts' Super Bowl seasons. He talked to our team about the honor.
And never was the horseshoe or the Ring of Honor, was that ever oh man, that'd be cool. I mean, it was try to build your, the way you block and the way you run routes and your craft, right? That was your goals. And so this is a beautiful thing.
Clark spent 9 of his 11 seasons with the Colts and is the team's all-time leader in catches and touchdowns by a tight end. Schools from Indiana are side by side in the new AP college football poll. Notre Dame is 12, and IU's rocket ride up the rankings jumps 3 more spots to number 13. The Hoosiers blew out Nebraska Saturday, convincing more voters that the Hoosiers are a real contender for the national title. IU's success has landed Bloomington a coveted turn in the national spotlight. The school says it will host ESPN's College Game Day broadcast Saturday ahead of the home game against Washington. Oregon, Georgia, and Penn State are 1, 2, and 3 in the poll. The Hoosiers will have to take on the Huskies without a key starter. Quarterback Curtis Rourke injured his thumb on his throwing hand against the Cornhuskers. It happened when Rourke's hand hit a Nebraska helmet late in the second quarter. He played the rest of the first half but sat out the second half. IU is only saying Rourke should be back by the end of the season. New York City can finally celebrate a WNBA title. The Liberty closed out the Lynx in an overtime win last night. The 67-62 victory ends a long stretch of close calls for the franchise. New York was runner-up in the very first WNBA championship in 1997 and came in second 4 more times before taking home the trophy. Elon Musk says he will give $1 million a day to voters who sign a petition for his political action committee. Musk is campaigning for Donald Trump. The petition supports the First and Second Amendments. Critics contend that Musk's cash handouts are a violation of campaign finance rules. Musk says the giveaways will go until Election Day, November 5th. Here's Jane King now with your business headlines and a potential deal between Boeing and its workers on strike.
That's right, and Boeing shares a little bit lower here this morning, but a tentative deal had been reached over the weekend to end the 5-week-long strike at the plane maker. Now, this deal still needs to be ratified by the majority of the rank-and-file membership of the International Association of Machinists, and the union will vote on this on Wednesday. Well, Girl Scout fees will soon almost triple in price. The prices will go from $25 to $65 a year. It's a two-step increase that will be spread across 2 years. The steeper fees will help the Girl Scouts avoid having to scale back or eliminate some of the organization's services. Now, despite the popularity of the famous Girl Scout cookies, which do generate about $800 million a year, the national organization projected a net loss of about $5 million this year. Well, Netflix continues to seek out true crime shows despite the legal risks. It's facing a growing number of defamation lawsuits, which could increase the cost of creating these shows, but true crime shows are wildly popular. An Ampere analysis found that among the 6 biggest streamers' activity, crime titles have seen the biggest percentage increase so far this year compared to a year ago. And the traditionally expensive genres like sci-fi and fantasy are down the most. Well, thawing out the turkey for Thanksgiving, one of the most challenging parts of the process, but Butterball is coming to the rescue. The country's largest turkey producer unveiled a new cook from frozen turkey that only has 2 steps: unwrapping the turkey and putting it in the oven. The innovative offering also cuts out on other annoying parts of the turkey making process. It doesn't need basting, brining, or seasoning. Butterball made a specially formulated brine that keeps the meat moist during the roasting process. So they really hope to lessen the intimidation for first-time Thanksgiving hosts. Stocks set more records on Friday. The S&P 500 closed higher. Dow was at a record 2, but we are looking a little bit lower for the start today. Live from the NASDAQ market site, I'm Jane King. Back to you.
This has been your News 8 Daily from Wish TV. I'm Hannah Mordeau. Watch us on wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook for updates.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go, connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.